The land's our heritage, and the way I see it, the land's been left to us by people who came before us. I feel we have a responsibility to look after the land. Many, many years ago, the crofters who worked the land worked a lot harder than we did. The amount of work that was done is unbelievable. All the stone walls that were built, that you can only see traces of them now. So, I mean, they really did work hard, and I think we have a duty to try and preserve some of that at least. Howie, ride it. Every croft had maybe 1 or 2 cattle, maybe not so many sheep. It's changed from that to not so many cattle. There's very few people who do have cattle, less people keeping animals overall, and less cultivation. So basically, crofting way of life is changing. Traditional crofting as we know it is I'm afraid, dying out, to a certain degree. I've been crofting since I was 15 years old. Crofting to me is a way of life.
Being from Harris, growing up here, Harris tweed's always just been part of life. It's part of the identity, I suppose, of being from Harris. It's the kind of thing that you can't really do unless you enjoy it. There's now an Act of Parliament that governs how Harris tweed is made and where Harris tweed is made. So everything has to be done in the Outer Hebrides. It's kept that here in the islands. There's not a huge amount of jobs and ways of making a living here. So it's kept it here, it's protected it, and everyone's really proud of it. Whether you're a weaver or not, if you're from the islands, you know about it, and it's part of our heritage.
When we started embroidering on Harris tweed, we think that the embroidery and the tweed sort of complement each other, but we hadn't been putting the Harris tweed labels on. And then somebody said to us, oh, you really should, people like to see a Harris tweed label. And so we started putting the labels on, and it was like flicking a switch. Suddenly we sold 10 times as many. It's such a versatile, special textile that it is nice to be able to do something a little bit different, but at the same time to be able to support such a traditional industry.
If you're an independent weaver, right from the start, that tweed is yours. I spend the time weaving it. It's a very tactile thing to be weaving. You're constantly touching the tweed as you're weaving to make sure there's no imperfections in it. It's nice to see something that was in my head actually out there somewhere being used. I've done tweeds based on the colours I see on the hill. You've got the purple of the heather and the cream of the sheep and the grey of the rocks. I like the ones that are very much reflective of the landscape around us.
I think there were a lot of gifts that could be bought here that reflected Harris but weren't maybe made on Harris, and it's such a diverse landscape.
On a typical day, the turquoise of the sea, and you can see by the colours inspired, it's the sand, sea and turquoise. And the colours really are like that. On a summer's day, you would see the sea and the sand and the sky like that with the odd wisp of cloud in it. We first started coming up in 2000. We wanted to get away from things. Sort of been coming back ever since. We decided that we might as well just take the plunge while we were fit enough to enjoy it. So we moved up. Haven't really looked back since. We bought a semi-professional machine and started embroidering, and it went really well. And really from there, that's what gave us the impetus to think, well, maybe we can make it a bit more. So end of August last year, we bought a kiln and started making glass. The designs, they're really a collaboration between myself and Kate, but the initial designs really they're just inspiration taken from the scenery. It's as sort of simple as that, really.
Our land is beautiful. It changes every day. The weather changes every day. We have a duty to look after this beautiful land that we've been left.